Before I start, I have one disclaimer. I have the blessing of my child to tell this story. It starts on a June day. I'm driving down the highway in my Subaru, and from the back seat of my car, there's a gaggle of teenagers making noise, TikTok songs on phones, and conversations I'm mostly pretending not to listen to. And then from the back seat, I hear my daughter's voice say, "Dad sure is going to be surprised to have 3 sons now." There was brief eye contact in the rearview mirror. And then she slapped a he-they button on his-their shirt and joined the patriarchy. Now, I wasn't too worried about this flippant gender flip at first because I'd like to consider myself a progressive. And I can roll with anything. And there was a while there, a brief phase, where my kid was really into anorexic dolls and My Little Pony, and that didn't last. Well, it lasted long enough to wreck our karma with non-recyclable plastics. But then it ended. And so I didn't take it too seriously until a few months later, when she brought up another conversation in the car about 4 blocks from school. I have learned that important conversations with adolescents often take place in a car, either because they know they're going to get out in a minute, or you don't think they're going to jump. I have, on at least one occasion, tried to exit my own mother's moving vehicle, so I don't recommend trusting that your kid doesn't have the courage for that. And it makes for condensed and concentrated conversations in the car. So early morning before school, I've got coffee in one hand, steering wheel in the other, and my kid is talking at me. I'm looking at glaring tail lights. I'm not awake yet. And she looks at me and she says, "Hey, Mom," nonchalant like, "when you were pregnant with me and you didn't know what you were having, what boy names did you have picked out?" "None," I said. "We wanted a girl, and that's what we got." "Oh," she said. And this marked the beginning of a long quiet in which there was no space for this iteration of my child. Now, I come from a long line of feminists. My own grandmother, Beverly, after whom my child was named, instilled in me a sense of feminism and superiority, and it was tainted with red lipstick and Avon perfume. She had a sign on her fridge. It said, "Women can do everything, and men can do the rest." Go, Granny. My female lineage fought abuse and discrimination for generations, sometimes with daytime margaritas and tax evasion, but also with legislation and glass ceiling smashing. Every single one of them who preceded me laid the foundation so that I could be an independent woman, that I could give birth to my own glorious daughter and teach her the ways. It never occurred to me to ask if that's what B wanted. In a slow and almost imperceptible shift, my child began to disappear. It started in her avoiding long conversations at the dinner table. And then she just stopped coming to dinner. She made a nest out of her bedroom, turned it into a cozy hideaway, and filled it with mind-numbing distractions. She cried and cried and cried, often alone and misunderstood. And for nearly a year, all she did was watch reruns of The Office, and it became our only common language, the only thing that we still shared. And then we started to lose that too. It felt like my child was dying, and if she could have talked and we could have listened, maybe that's what she would have said. In time, as the months wore on, a darkness and a heavy weight settled on our home and infiltrated our walls. Something ominous and more violent was creeping in there, spreading across the pale skin of my child. Behind her queer-flagged door, there was a dangerous alchemy happening. It was noted in the violent, gory art that she drew and in the secret visions of slicing arteries open with broken glass. It was the latter that shattered the cage open. The revelation of it, at least. Months later, tears and anguish and the fear of a mother's loss. Later, psychiatrists, counselors, doctors recommended medications. Later, there is a suicide safety plan on our fridge, at my desk, in the hands of close friends. I'm listening, baby. I'm fucking listening. Just tell me where it hurts. Show me. I believe you. I believe you. I don't want to reduce the journey of adolescent self-discovery and all its horrors to this one aspect of my child. That wouldn't be fair, and it's not my story to tell. My experience, though, is potentially equally as complicated, and it can't be reduced to some sort of simple cliche statement like, well, I lost a daughter, but I gained a son, because neither of those things really feel true for me. What happened was unexpected. I grieved, and I grieved hard, like somebody had died. My family was like, it's not like somebody died. That's not my experience right now. I cried in a strange reversal of roles on my child's shoulders. And she was still there. That's not what everybody can say. I cried for how long I had misunderstood his suffering. And then I cried for the wedding dress that I don't get to buy, although I'm told I can buy a suit. I cried and mourned all of my gender normative ideas, and they were not few, despite how progressive I think I am, about how I would relate to my child, mommy and me pedicures, and how my child would relate to the world. And perhaps most strange, I was faced with this bizarre sense of rejection of my own identity as a woman. Had I failed so miserably at demonstrating the greatness of this, from reproductive rights to menstruation and tax on hygiene products and equal pay or lack thereof and domestic violence, that my kid just decided to defect to the other side, it would be understandable. But I don't think that's what happened. My experience instead was a slow clipping of the invisible marionette strings that we all inevitably tug on when we're raising our children, in particular when it comes to gender. What I lost was the expectation that my kid is some kind of extension of me and my own identity. And what I gained was the freedom to step back and watch this human being unfurl and unfold into true self, or at least this version of it. Because as Walt Whitman would say, he contains multitudes, and it is evident in every awesome wardrobe choice. My child, Ben, the turncoat and traitor, wears a bright shirt with a unicorn and a rainbow and the words alpha male. There's lace-edged socks and crop tops and a mohawk and mascara. But most importantly, he seems to embody the things that we all want our children to embody, the values we hope that they carry on. He's loyal and loving, brilliant, funny, an artist, a musician. He embodies the values of authenticity, of self, of truth, of voice, health, and happiness. And he belongs to a gender blending and bending revolution to which we all need to learn the language. And I suspect it has less to do with our concern about grammar and pronouns than it has to do with acceptance and love. And that is also a language I am still learning. Thank you.